Hey everybody, that was weird. I had a weird little error message pop up as my last time I tried to start a stream. But anyway, here we are, live. Hi, I'm Doug with 2 Plus Stuff. Today we're going to be doing some painting. I have some Khorne models right in front of me. And if you could let me know if you can hear and see me okay, just because of the weird error thing I had on my end. I clicked live and it was like, you can't go live. And then dropped me off into some weird thing and then I did it again. It worked. So we'll see. Over the summer, my wife and I travel a lot, and we have a lot of family events and stuff like that. She is an indie author, and so we do a lot of book signings around the country. We just got back from Knoxville, Tennessee. This weekend, we're going out to Milwaukee for a signing for her. And so, yeah, that's why I've been in and out. I hope you are all doing well, and I'm going to be nice and settled in by the time that releases start happening for AOS, so we'll keep you up to date on lore. I'm very excited to jump into the Skaven stuff because of the models we got previewed today. So we're going to be chatting. I'm just going to throw a few images on the screen. And if we go down here... Oh, hold on a second. Man, all my settings got messed up. Like I said, please let me know if you can hear and or see me. There we go. I had to pull it out and reset the whole thing. Let's see. Now... we'll add light again. Hi, there we go. Apologies for all of this. We had a lot of technical problems. This is what happens when you go away for a bit. We're just gonna zoom in. And I'll show you what I'm working on. So I have here a set of the Elite Khorne Troopers, the Skull Reapers. They are quite a bit of fun. So I recently got a set of Khorne stuff, and the reason I'm really enjoying it is I love the trim. Miguel Aguilar, hey buddy, how you doing? Let me know if everything's working okay for you and you can see and hear me. It's the morning of all kinds of trouble. So I'm going to be here painting these guys, and over on the other screen, let me pull it up. We're going to be going and talking about some Skaven. Oh man, they already have their next preview thing lined up. Holy smokes. Yes, okay. Got the Skaven article here. Close out of that. Close out of this. And we're good to go. Okay. Hopefully that shouldn't be playing for you. But we have the Slaughter at Hell Crown. Now, unfortunately, like I said, we've been traveling for several weeks. I have not been able to keep up with the campaign stuff. Careful with the new version of Khorne Red. It's a bit more pinkish purple than the old one. Interesting. So I'm actually using... That's a great warning. Thank you so much. I want to show you what I'm doing. I actually am going... Every new project I use as an excuse to expand my Pro Acryl paint line. This is Bold Pyrrole Red, and it's so dang bold the camera has trouble focusing on the text. And I did sort of as like a zenithal type thing. I do like the slap chop method of just kind of brushing on lighter colors. Sometimes I'll do contrast like for straps and stuff like that, but generally I'll then go over it to block out my colors. Because if you make it thin enough like this, there's still some shading and depth to the leg pad here, and that's just the zenithal with that bold red going over it. So I appreciate the shout out. I recently bought a bottle of Khorne Red actually, and I did notice just looking through it that it's different, but when did that happen? Was there like a big change I didn't know about? We're gonna start off here actually with my Pro Acryl Copper that I've been doing. So I have been out for a bit. Less corny. I got it. The red looks so vivid. Thank you. I love it. I wanted... so with my... Oh man, that was way more than I expected. Oopsie. It's kind of a bubble. I knew that I wanted to do bold colors for whatever I did next because I think my Flesh Eater quartz are so muted. Just because of the nature of a lot of the aged metal and the death colors, you know, kind of like pallid colors, a lot of desaturated things. So I wanted something that had some zest, some pop, you know? Chaos panache. I had considered doing Skaven, but my heart and my soul is still broken from the last time I tried to paint Skaven, and I don't think it's ever gonna heal all the way. So, I don't know, it was too many dudes. Oh, it's too many dudes. Plus, if you're a long-time follower of the channel, you know Doug's wandering eye. It was always going to be another army. Let's see. Ori Brack, hey buddy! Been at a loss to do with what army for 4th. Already got so much I want. Been considering Khorne, and watching this ain't gonna help me. Well, you're welcome to join me. I've played, I think, 6 games now. With, oh, well, it depends on the point level you reach. I think 7 if I count 1K games, but several games with my Flesh Eater Courts now, and I really struggle with, like, an army that wants to run forward and punch, but only so fast. Like, how you control that speed is so important, because it's throttled by noble deed points. Right, you want your heroes up in combat, but not too much. Everything's like this, but not too much. And me over here, former Bone Splitter and Beast of Chaos player, among many other armies. But all my strategies for all my armies have traditionally just been run forward, right? Even when I played my Stormcast and my Slaves to Darkness, how I run forward, put dudes on objectives, and then punch people in the face. Let's see. God Eater's Son has been tempting me to get some Blades of Khorne. Oh, yes. Is that the one? Okay, wait. God Eater's Son. So that's the one with the Stormcast Astral Templar, and, like, aren't there Khorne ships or something assaulting a fortress? There was some story about like that. I might be mixing that up with something I was reading from the Cubicle 7 lore books for Anvilgard. Yeah. No, I'd love that. I'd love to know what everybody else is working on. I'm just kind of waiting to see if anybody else wants to join us before we jump into the main topic, which is talking about the Skaven previews and how everyone feels about them. Several people on my Discord asked if I could give my thoughts on them, and absolutely. I typically don't, because I'm generally of the mindset of, like, I'm not an artist, a painter, or sculptor. I don't really know what I can offer, or a pro gamer. So it's just like, do I have anything to say about it? And people in Discord are like, well, we want to hear. Like, okay. Well, if you want to hear, then that's fine. How many times have you seen, like, content show up on Instagram or TikTok or whatever your particular poison is, where it's like somebody just giving their opinion and your immediate gut reaction is, who the hell are you? Who's this guy? Doug's skill is chill. Oh, thank you. Fall to Chaos story about Ashtalker and Asperia. Oh, okay. I will check that out. How do I like Khorne in 4th? I have not played them yet. I actually just got this lot of models very, very recently, last Thursday. And I painted 10 Blood Reavers as my test scheme. And to kind of get a sense of how I wanted to do skin tones and stuff like that. And they're in my box next to me. I can grab them in a sec if anybody wants to see them. They look very similar because I was testing the red, right? You know, how well does the red from the Pro Acryl thin out? Spoiler, it's awesome like all their paints. Go buy Pro Acryl. I think I have a coupon somewhere that saves you 5%, but it's not a commercial. It's a legitimate piece of advice. Every time I talk about Pro Acrylic, though, I feel obligated to give a shout out to my buddy Rob in Iowa City, because a local store up there, First Turn Games, started carrying Pro Acryl, and he tried it first because of some, I think it was Vince Ventrella convinced him to try something from them. He was like, Doug, you got to try it. And I was like, no, I'm good. I like the simplicity of just having a single system, right? The GW system. And I was like in line to buy a white, like I think White Scar or something like that. And he swapped it out with the Pro Acrylic white, like the pure solid, I think it's titanium white. I have it here somewhere. I still have the bottle because it's so strong. I don't need very much. And there was so much pigment in it, and it did so perfectly when I was painting my white armor on Stormcast, the Knights Excelsior, that I was like, oh my god. With very few exceptions, I Like You Shop T-Bone is one that I'm a faithful GWer. I like that color a lot. They just hit the right yellow note for me. But every other color I'll do Pro Acryl. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. It's one of those things that you're like, man, I feel like a charlatan promoting it because I wouldn't have tried it, but a friend was like, Doug, you're being an idiot. Try this amazing thing. And it took that to get me to try it. Let's see. Oh, hey, Lord Billy, thank you so much. Give me 1 second. I'm a part of is hosting a 60-player 40k tourney this weekend. I'm going to be a TO, and I'm exhausted by 40k. Cannot wait to be able to turn 40k part of the brain off. Oh, nice. I was actually thinking of painting up just a few more units from Chaos Space Marine Codex and just taking my Horus Heresy army out as Sons of Horus who got farted out of the warp at the wrong time. Because I just don't see any reason to buy a new 40k army. But I'll buy a book. I got Terminators, I got Rhinos, I got Land Raider, I got stuff, you know, it'll work. It's all good. So I'm happy for you, Corey. So, Lord Billy. Doug, I'm feeling a bit bummed about Stormcast losing constantly in the lore lately. What can you say to make me lore excited about them and not sell? Oh, sell your army? Well, first of all, you know, one thing we have learned is that heroes will always strike back at the end. So I certainly wouldn't sell anything because of the lore, because they're Stormcast. They're gonna have their swing up. They will. As for getting excited about them, give me a second here. I am calculating the limits of what I'm allowed to say. Every time the bad guys, whatever that bad guy is, whether it's Nagash, Chaos, whatever like that, there's a constant ebb and flow of them seizing the initiative and then losing it. Seizing it and losing it. And we are in a season of them seizing the initiative, where it looks like Stormcast are losing everything. Now keep in mind, this entire time, the reason there's anything to lose is because they have been non-stop bangers for like 100 years. I think they said it was like a century or something like that in one of the books. Like, Stormcast have been banging on all cylinders. That's why there's towns to conquer, right? I mean, there's a reason Archaon has a job to do. It's because he can't get him down, man. Like, can't pin him, can't hold me, can't catch me. And it's just because Sigmar's plan in the short term has certainly worked. At least the principle of a resurrecting army has proven to be a very sound assumption of power. Now, what he failed at was how perfect the resurrection is, but what we're looking at is the plan in theory, actually made a lot of sense. It's just now we have to worry about the practicum. And I don't know. I think there's something cool about that, because what it outlines is if we can work through this or solve it or whatever they're trying to do, it's working. Whatever it is, it's working. Which is cool. What else we got to be excited about? Every single year they find more friends to join the cause. And also one thing I didn't want to skip on, I kind of started to say it earlier and then I got distracted by my own musings, was they always address the concern whenever they push back. So for example, Archaon brings out a new wave of big bad monsters or whatever like that, and so Stormcast are like, haha, we have dragons, Stormcast riding dragon things, and that's how we got the echelon chamber or whatever they are, not the storm drakes, the flying ones, but the old ones that are on foot. The one kit, 4 models, not really kind of a thing. Obviously the loosing and then subsequent redaction of the Sacrosanct Chamber was in response to Nagash being supreme, and then subsequently not being supreme anymore, right? Once they are no longer what we need, we put them back in the shelf. Whatever they were doing before about resurrection or whatever, that's what they're doing again, I guess. But there's a lot to be excited about. Theoretical and practicalities. So, yes, actually, that book has stayed in my brain specifically because of that. Of, like, looking at a situation. What do you think's going to happen? What's actually going to happen? Actually, that's been the greatest... In terms of, yeah, I'm going to call... it's pop culture in the sense that it's a book that's widely popular that I read, but... In terms of pop culture that kind of struck a deep philosophical nerve, there's that, and then right below it is Tommy Lee Jones saying a person is smart, but people are stupid and panicky in Men in Black. Where, like, young Doug's mind was just like, those are different. A people and a person are different, man. Whoa, bro. But yes, in terms of shaping how I think about the world, breaking everything down to what do you think's going to happen and what's actually going to happen here are wonderful. No notes. Let's see. I was waxing poetic, so I lost some chat. Bishop T-Bone has always been hard to work with for me. Is it a shared experience? I use pale sand. I'll check that one out. We do have a supplier of AK stuff near me, so I will check that out. Stormcast may be losing some battles, but they'll always be in the fight, which means your army will always be in play. Yep, that's a good thing. Thought they only lost 2 battles recently. It's, battles is becoming a tougher word to describe, because you look at something like when Neve Blacktalon joined the Crusades during the Dawnbringer books. Okay, very specific time. Do we consider her actions a battle? And I would say no. They're just the independent actions. But they mean, like... It was initially a loss that they turned into a W, and then she got booted out of the Crusade for it. I mean, there's a lot going on, but overall, I'm like, I wouldn't really call that a battle in terms of when I was assigning wins and losses and such. So it's all a matter of, I guess, semantics is what I'm trying to say. Did you hear the new first edition Stormcast are back? Let's see. What paint are you using for basing your bronze? This is Copper by Pro Acryl. Doug, what type of brush do you use? I believe they are simply called Value Pack at my local craft store. I don't know of any other name on the packaging. But I use brushes that are essentially disposable. Not obviously per session, but over time. Fancy brushes are, I'm going to say, the prima donnas of the wargaming world and do not have what it takes to survive this fast-paced work environment at 2+ tough. That is my way of saying I'm very bad with brushes and I don't want to invest in them because I just treat them like garbage. Let's see. We're back. Check the article for Skaven. Yeah, we can start that actually. I'm supposing there's probably enough folks here. Let me just get this particular red done. I'll finish this guy and then we'll go over to the shared screen there. You need to be careful with expensive brushes. I feel the same. Impatience destroys my brushes. Exactly. Yes, but I couch that idea in high-minded talk, like, well, Bob Ross said you can paint with almost anything. All you have to do is practice. So you can paint with a toothpick. You're just painting by pixel. But the things that I really, I guess pride myself. I don't know. It feels weird to say that, but things that I'm good at, strengths that I have, is painting quickly and efficiently, not so much on the logistical side of the word efficient. I guess efficient would be taking care of your tools and stuff like that, but we don't got time for that. Finger painted miniatures when? Hey, I did a painting contest with the Rerolling 1 guys where we all used toothbrushes, I think, and we all did Stormcast, and Doug did good. Give me 1 sec here. I have to just step away so that I can paint this up real quick. Okay. DW just joined. Good to see you. Mr. Content. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I'll be back to it here real soon. Hoping to, I don't know. We're always, whenever the Games Workshop releases a new edition, whether it's 40k, Horus Heresy, AOS, it doesn't matter. There's always that big boom, and then there's just that weird silence afterwards, and it's obviously so people can, you know, consume what was released and give feedback and things can be addressed or whatever. Like, I get that. But it's always that weird space. And so it's just like, I will be ready and excited whenever ye old content machine begins. I'm curious, of the folks in the chat right now, how many folks play Warcry with any form of irregularity? No particular reason. Someone mentioned it at my local game store, and I was like, oh, interesting. You know, I haven't actually thought about that in a bit. Like playing it for its own sake, not the miniatures as being part of something else, or... Okay. Nothing sparks a good conversation like smash dry brushing with a stable brush. Yes, exactly. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I got the Skaven stuff pulled up here. We'll start going through this real slowly. So there was a whole campaign thing going on. I'm going to skip past that. Skaven won because Chaos always wins, because the second you let players have any form of method of proving how much they love Skaven, Skaven will win that contest, whatever it is. So we're looking here at our Skaven releases. This is just to get us super stoked for what's coming up with the first wave. So just like with Nighthaunt, we had this 2-player starter set, and then there was a Nighthaunt release that came immediately afterwards. Same thing for Stormcast. They released a whole bunch of models there. But here we go. Vizek Scour, Prophet of the Horned Rat. When Kragnos escaped his mountain prison in Gur, he unleashed a wave of primal energy that was felt even in Blight City. A protean demon of ruin emerged from the heart of the Master Burrow, and only prayers to the Great Horned Rat could quell its rage. When the Vermindoom secured the Skaven god's place in the pantheon of chaos, he shaped this demon into Vizek Scour, the Lord of the Gnaw and Prophet of the Horned Rat. Now, there are not many Skaven demons. To my knowledge, the only ones we have are this and the multi-kit that makes all of the... what is it, the Vermin Kings or whatever they are. So that's cool. I will take any Skaven demons I can get my hands on. The model is absolutely stunning. Maybe there is one later on, but I'd love a picture of an actual clan rat next to him just to get a sense of scale. I'd imagine it comes up to like there, maybe? Kind of, maybe somewhat in line with this rubble kind of tipped up. Vermin Lords, thank you so much, Kedging. Is it Cadigan? Is that how it's said? Anyway, beautiful model. Love the pose. It's got this very imposing presence. The idea of the Grey Seers, which are like the albino rats that are the magic wielders in Skaven. Just that stance of always having like the one hand on the staff, that's just very classic them. I love all the multi-horns. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I mean, I'm curious if they're gonna... I can't fathom they're gonna have the same level of divide in their book as there are with like demon keywords and mortal keywords or something like that. I guess that's kind of gone now. But point being, like, I don't think there's enough demons to support that, but I'd be interested to see what he does for the army. Let's see, next... Oh, there's close-ups of various shots of him. He rules from Hexaneste, the great cathedral at the center of the Gnaw, and spreads the death frenzy to his vile congregation. Interesting. Religious tones give me a sense of pestilency. These devout rat men foam at the mouth and attack with a bloodthirsty zeal rarely seen in Skaven. Oh, wait, am I reading the description for the next thing? No. He rules from those rat men foam at the mouth and attack with a bloodthirsty zeal rarely seen in Skaven, while Vizek himself uses his Gnaw staff to cleanse the realm of non-believers, be they enemy or fellow Skaven he deems wanting. Interesting. Interesting. Criddock Foulblade, a new, well, he's a named character, but I mean, I love that he's got an assassin buddy with him. That's cool. I don't know if he's an assassin, but that's rad. This article was odd. I was missing several images for a couple hours. Interesting. Okay. It was weird. It just kind of faded into talking about the other Ratman underneath him, so it made me think I skipped articles, but then it brought it back to him in the end with his staff. So I was like, it's like the professor in Futurama. Did everything kind of jumble around, or did I just kind of stroke for a second? Critic Foulblade. The infamous Critic Foulblade stands apart from other Claw Lords by dint of his cold, calculating frugality. He will gladly dispatch clan rats to their deaths en masse, as this is right, but he is of the opinion that those saved today may be more efficiently ordered to their deaths tomorrow, and that they will perhaps fight a little harder in appreciation of his munificence. That's interesting. That's a very interesting description of what he could do on the table. Like, if that is their thesis statement of what this character mechanically should do, that makes me sound like he's recycling units. Maybe if they retreat in the same turn, they can restore some models or something. That'd be kind of rad. Just, it's something that's conditional upon them doing a certain action, but essentially has the idea of attrition in mind, right? Restoring models and stuff. So that's really nice. That makes him the closest thing to a Skaven that cares. Why is there such a notable push gap? Oh, right here? Yeah, that's pretty rough. It's a pretty hard line, I won't lie. I love it. He's beautiful. He's got his two little buddies with him. His apparent charity has cultivated a loyal following whom he can trust to enact his plans. He owes his unnatural longevity and his vigor in combat to the blade Doomfang, a twisted sword. Sorry, I do that to make fun of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner. He always calls it a sword in that movie. Sword Doomfang, containing the soul of a vermin lord who sought to use Critic to betray Vizek. In moments of dire need, it almost seems as if Doomfang wields itself, and sure enough, Critic is forced to bargain with the Vermin Lord for each use, chipping a second, an hour, or even a day off its sentence of imprisonment. Very cool. I like that. So he's got a demon blade with a Vermin Lord stuck inside of it, and it's about his prison. Now, one thing I do like is I feel like the previous books for Skaven didn't have the kind of internal rivalries and drama that we remember from fantasy battles. Like, if you remember, we had this whole idea of like how Tyrion and Teclis relate to one another, and the different council members over in the High Elves, and then there was all the different clan leaders. There was a lot more characters for Skaven and how they all thought about each other. But a lot of that went away. And so having this describe a situation where the demon is trying to use him to usurp a third character, all of whom you can play. You can play as a Vermin Lord Corruptor, you can do this guy and Vizek. So it's like, thank you. A little splash of character back in there. It was real nice. I like that. And I think fitting that every single time you use it, you have to barter. So I think that's it for the named characters. I do love his armor. He looks absolutely fantastic. So the Master Molder. Molder is, if I was ever going to do a Skaven army, what I would do. I love the body horror aspect, the Frankenstein flesh construct things. So the description here, the hulking brood terror has already torn its way out of the containment cells. That was another model they previewed already. In Clan's Molder laboratories and into the battlefield. And now it's time to witness the twisted mind behind its creation. Master Molders have had their own flesh malformed by years of exposure to warpstone and self-experimentation. They take to the field in control of packs of lumbering rat ogres, always on the lookout for new test subjects to snare with their cruel thing catchers. If you have not seen the thing catcher in action, go play some Vermintide 2. It makes you feel very helpless. So, I love this model. Like I said, I love the flesh horror stuff, the weird hump he's got on his back. I love all the straps, so like rather than trying to fix his mutations, he just finds ways to work around them. Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like he's got enough detail, but not too much. Like, I'm looking at the model here, right? I mean, it's just fabric. His whole backside is really just a little bit of skin, a little bit of fabric. The thing catcher draws your attention. The little man, I think he's putting a bullet in the chamber of the pistol, which is just like, yes. I don't know. I like it. I like it quite a bit. It's got a lot of spunk. Luckman, thank you so much for the donation. I have a question for later. My friends and I are going to do a slow grow Path to Glory campaign. One is bringing Seraphon, the other Cruel Boys. I'm considering Cities, Skaven, or Ossiarch Bone Reapers. What is your recommendation? Well, I would start like this. Do you want to paint things for it? And if so, what do you want to paint? Knowing we're going through a bunch of really cool looking Skaven stuff right now, bro. But you know, like if I already had OBR and I was thinking about painting them, I would probably just drag those out and paint them for that. So I don't know. It kind of, I mean, are you starting fresh with all of these? Because it might. I mean, it's certainly going to be easy to start with Skaven. It's going to be the time where everybody's splitting boxes and stuff. But ultimately, whatever you want to paint. If you're doing a slow grow, that's why I envision slow grows happening. But yeah, I'd love to talk more if you have specific gameplay reasons that kind of go beyond the painting or whatever. As far as what pairs well with Seraphon and Cruel Boys, kind of all of them. All of those rosters are so deep, with the exception of Bone Reapers, that you can kind of build a shooting army, a melee, a cavalry army from Skaven, from cities. Bone Reapers are the ones where you have, there's not much shooting, except for very specific units. But yeah. If you have more thoughts on kind of weighing the options or whatever, but my thought is just whatever you want to paint. We'll go back here while I'm waiting for that response. And we have the Storm Vermin. Skaven are known for their craven, let's see, nature, but this label does not apply to the muscly armored Storm Vermin. Marked at birth after ruthlessly devouring littermates, Storm Vermin are subjected to a strict training regime that only reinforces their near brutal mentality. Armed with vicious halberds, they are the mailed claws of clans verminous, savagely carving through enemy ranks with a discipline unimaginable to most Skaven. And yes, they do look great. You know, I still think the old ones hold up. There's absolutely nothing wrong. They would look fantastic mixed together. And I adore the helmets. The Skaven helmet design to me has always been the most fun thing. Where specifically this one, and there's a few different iterations of it, Storm Fiends have it, but where it's the covered helm with like the spiked boggle eye coming out the side of brass. I love it. I just adore it so much. But yes, they look fantastic. Then we have our Arch Warlock, who has a similar kind of helmet, so I love that. Clan Scryer are each ruled by an equal parts ingenious and dangerous Arch Warlock. These experts in warp science are the master inventors behind the great death-spitting machines, from rattling warp blasters to their own personal apparatus. These various gizmos grant the Arch Warlocks crude control over magical energy, which they hoard in various ether accumulators before unleashing it in destructive blasts. I love it. There is no notes. Love this model. Always loved the claw. I wish maybe it was outstretched a bit more, like maybe pointing, like for his creations to fire on something. But that's a minor thing. The model looks sick. He's got a great profile. He looks dangerous. You could see him like silhouetted with flashes of green like you see with all the different Skaven animations, and it just makes sense. Love it. Next, the Warlock Galvanier. Obsessed with highly dangerous and barely controllable warp lightning, the Warlock Galvaniers are some of the most deranged members of Clan Scryer. In battle, use their Warp Volt Obliterators to empower other similar devices, as well as directing fulminating fusillades at their enemy. Interesting. So I get the sense that he can choose to either buff a Skaven Scryer thing, or do some kind of like point and fire, marker light, or something like that in some capacity. I don't know what that would look like. It could be a few different things. But that's interesting. I can imagine him kind of being one of those weird heroes like Flesh Eater Courts have, where it's like he's a Warlock assistant, and if you take the Arch Warlock, you can have 0 to 1 Warlock assistants, and he kind of plugs in as a minor hero to the Arch Warlock. But yeah. Next we have the Acolyte Globadiers, getting their metal models replaced after many an era. These are your World War I rats who rock up throwing gas grenades at people. As such, they have befitting masks, and they're awesome. Below the Warlocks of Clan Scryer are all sorts of flunkies and factotums among the Acolyte Globadiers. Ensconced in protective gear, they are armed with poisoned wind globes, swirling vessels of gaseous warpstone which dissolve those who inhale it. Each Acolyte is keen to prove their genius and will tinker with their suits endlessly, and the Warlocks carefully keep tabs on these bespoke improvements in case they can claim them for their own, which I love. Yes, I love these guys. I love the 2-tank one specifically. I like how the tanks are all different, right? That makes them feel like they have a unique custom apparatus. I like that a lot. My message is getting through. Elecman, yes, I was going to revisit your conversation once you had a chance to respond and I finished this. Let's see. Warp Spark Weapon Battery. So I'm seeing here is a multi-kit. It looks like that can be built. Let's see. Skaven are fond of ranged weapons. Skaven are fond of ranged weapons due to their innate cowardice, and the Clan Scryer have provided manifold new weapons of destruction, collectively known as Warp Spark Weapon Batteries. Deployed alongside teeming swarms of clan rats, these rattling guns, warp fire throwers, and warp volt scourgers, that's cool, are effective tools of destruction, which have their handlers cackling with manic glee often before the contraption blows up in their own face, which is just like, absolutely. Let's see. Fascinating. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm just kind of digesting what I'm seeing here. This is actually the first time I've taken a really good look at this. So it makes me think it's a multi-kit where you build 3, but you have, like, those same miniatures are just with different bolt-ons can have. These are all 3 the same weapon, these are all 3 warp Gatling or whatever they are. They just look different, which would be so nice for adding a little bit of visual diversity to the battlefield. That's typically what I find lacking when you have a lot of the same thing. Interesting. Okay. I like that idea for a kit. I mean, I don't know how many you're going to buy, but if you're a Scryer player, at least 6. Next, we have the Warp Grinder. Dang, that's cool. This is kind of how... Okay, wait, before I read the description, this is how I envisioned them doing the burrowing. The gnaw holes or whatever is this exact thing. Is it relevant? Let's see. Even their insatiable will to consume does not allow the burrowing Skaven to breach the walls of reality. The clan Scryer are not willing to let such inconveniences stand in their way, so these unhinged boffins have developed warp grinders, tools that focus the energy of Warpstone into a beam that can bore through the skin of reality itself, which make short work of such trivialities such as steam tanks, mega gargants, and charging maw crushes. So it is. But you can also just point it at a thing. I like it. My question is it a gun or a drill? When I hear grinder, I think that it has to be in melee. But that's not technically true, right? Into a beam that can bore through. So that makes it seem like a flashlight. Would love to know what everybody thinks. And then the Doom Flares. These guys, I think that the older model was a cool concept, but executed dumpily. I like the idea though, and I think they carried it over fantastically. And the Skaven, they look like they're in motion. One of the people I was listening to complain about this was like they look so much more meek, ragged, and oddly kind of situated compared to like the clan rats or whatever. They don't look the same, and I'm like, to me, it's because they're moving with such speed, it's blowing their fur back. Like, it looks like they're in motion, and I love it. But yeah. Let's see. Originally designed as a mining device, the whirling and unpredictable doom flares have been turned into military weapons. Any Skaven in control of these vulgar devices is likely to gun the engine for all it's worth, carving great furrows in the ground as these bladed wrecking balls hurtle into enemy ranks to mulch them. That's just the greatest description ever. These will be contained in Battletome Skaven, which is the ultimate guide to Skaven with a mighty redesign. Okay. Oh, we got a new Battletome cover. Cool. Yeah, let's see. Okay, we got their official in stone battle pack cards. Let's see. We're also going to see miniatures break free the confines of the Skaventide box. So Skaventide stuff will be released separately in its own things. And we'll just have to keep an eye out. Wait for Stormcast. The Warp Grinder, the arm of the Storm Fiend. Exactly, that's where I got that from. Okay, so I'm curious. Here's my discussion. We're gonna jump into Alekman's discussion, because whenever you throw a tip in the tip jar, you get to choose the way the discussion goes for a bit. But after that, so have your thoughts ready. I want to talk about what you want to see in 4th edition Battletomes, because things are different. And we'll talk about that in just a sec. So, let's go down here, get back to painting some boys. Each army, this is referring to Alekman's question. He asked, should he start cities, Skaven, or Ossiarch Bone Reapers for his slow grow path to glory? Each army would be more or less started fresh. I have sizable collections of each army except Skaven. Skaven are 2 collections of Skaventide, Deathmaster, and Grey Seer Bell. Don't like the weapon teams. I kind of dig them. I had an initial reaction like that when they showed the fire lizard replacement for Seraphon, and I was like, actually, I want to live in a world with more fire lizards, so I'm going to just agree to this. I'm going to capitulate and say, this is really freaking cool. As far as your conundrum, you know, you say you didn't immediately start Skaven because you didn't have gnaw holes, and my question to you based on hearing that is, do you want to own them? And the reason I ask that is because if you're not excited about painting something, going back to my earlier suggestion is just do whatever painting sounds fun. So if you know that there's a model in that range, you're like, at some point I gotta do that if I want to play them. You can either view it as a chance to knock out that thing. So this is your moment to grab the knot holes and bite the bullet. I have to grab the Khorne throne at some point. Or if you're like, actually, that doesn't sound fun. That sounds like an actual pain in my ballsack. That's fine too. Just choose a thing that doesn't sound like that. Because like most things hobby related, there's not a wrong answer. Let's see. The Lord of all Ducks. Why does Thankwol show up everywhere? He was in the stream, and he's name dropped in the article, but it's the same old kit revealed. He's already here. I don't know, and I will say that is a thing that I am very... someone left a comment on a video recently that was like, hey, can you do a Thankwol lore video? And, you know, I said, absolutely, I'm happy to. I really want to wait for the new book because I feel like it's a whole lot of like, and also Thankwol was there. You're like, what was he doing this whole time? We don't know, but he was there. But I want to know. I'm not even old world guy. I'm just a guy who sees the model with no understanding of who Thankwol was in the old world. Like, man, that's a sick model. What are they up to? They exist, says GW ominously. That's how I felt about Valkia the Bloody back when she was a part of the Khorne army. Just like, man, this is, at the time, it's maybe second to Alariel for coolest lady in Warhammer. That's not true. Maybe third. Neferata's always got a place high on my heart. But like, you know, up there. What's Valkia's story? Well, she's mad. And she's here. Okay. Ooh. Oh, my book, my text thing was not updating. Let me just see here. Oh, I wasn't too far behind. Okay. For the record, I do want the knowholes. See the above for why I don't have them. I am starting to lose track of the thing. Andre, can you do a Go Trek AOS recap? I thought that I did. Let me think hard for a second. I will get the link here. I'm painting. Let me just knock this guy out real quick and then I will go find that link for you. I remember specifically limiting my discussion to the AOS stuff because I was like, I can't find any of the books, or a lot of them at the time I couldn't find to go back all the way in time to the old world, nor do I really want to. So I just limited the discussion to AOS. I'm always really sloppy with my metallics because I'll go back over with red at the end for final touch-ups after washes and stuff. So who cares? I hope they reunite Felix and Gotrek soon enough. I know them only as a package deal. The problem I have with novels, they're always out of stock on the GW web store, so if I want them, I have to pay a markup. I gotcha. I mean, I don't have a good answer for you outside of if you want them and they're not available, and it matters to you that you use the actual ones and not like a third-party substitute, grab something else. How about this? Don't set yourself up for an experience where you feel like you're going to be missing out on playing with your friends for your Path of Glory thing because GW can't keep their inventory together. If you think you're going to want them for the Path of Glory thing, and you don't think you can get them in a way that is palatable to you, which I understand, go with something else. That would be my advice. That to me makes it seem like it's a discussion between cities and... not Seraphon, what was your other option? Cities and Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Which between those two, just in terms of, I mean, if someone was like, hey Doug, you lost all your armies in house fire between these two for free, I'd probably go cities. Just because the painting opportunities sound real fun. This has been Wisdom with Doug. What kind of brushes do you like to use? I have the Army Painter ones. We talked about this jokingly earlier. I believe the brushes I use are a brand just called Value Pack. They come in large quantities at the craft store. Let me get a link for my buddy Andre here. One sec. Oh, wow. Andre, you made me feel old, man. This is like a year old now. There we go. Threw that in the chat. Go trick lore for you, buddy Andre. Go check that out. And that one, I don't know what the chronological order for one of the short stories was, but I think I just pointed that out, so one of the comments may have corrected me. There was like one, when there was like a weird time where GW tried these weird like novella type things, and I adored them. But I could see them kind of being a pain to inventory and stock and keep track of or whatever. And one of them was a Gotrek story where he gets an axe, and I was just like, this is rad. I enjoy this character quite a bit. I actually enjoyed that short story more than I enjoyed his debut back into the Mortal Realms story. The audiobook version anyway. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for the help and feedback. I really appreciate it. Need to go. Oh, okay. Well, have a fantastic day, and thank you so much for popping in and throwing a tip in the tip jar and just spend some time with us. I super appreciate it. Anybody else have a topic, question, anything they want to chat about? I will be completely honest with you. Not the best help when it comes to rules, but if you want to know how to paint a certain color easily to make it look like you worked harder, that is my mastery. I was taught that very, very early. Whenever you're doing something, if you want to impress a boss, or, just impress people in general, find a way to do what you were already going to do, but make it look impressive. So if your boss gives you a task to make a spreadsheet, you go online and you're like, how do you make the prettiest goddamn spreadsheet ever, right? Like, beautiful with the colored tabs, and they're all color-coded, and everything is perfect beyond possible explanations, aesthetically beautiful. Because then the information could be crap, and they're like, oh, well, it's just a mistake. I'll fill it out, whatever. They obviously put work into this. This is a minor mistake. It's right up there with that same wisdom as, like, you get to define who you are, at your workplace. So if you're running late, don't be the guy who's late. Be the guy who brought donuts. Stop and bring donuts, and then you redefine who you are. Oh, that's not Doug who's constantly late. It's Doug, cool guy who brings breakfast sometimes, and is also unrelated, late because of that sometimes. Have you ever painted Battletech? So I actually got Battletech, is it Alpha Strike? Is that what it's called? The new kind of quicker version. I grabbed it at Adepticon because everyone looked like they were having such a freaking blast. Everyone I know who plays it is like addicted to it. But I have not had time to do much myself. Much to my chagrin. But I hear nothing but fantastic things. As far as painting in different scales, honestly, I probably wouldn't paint very different. Like, to me, that only starts to matter when you start talking about, like, maybe basing or terrain, that kind of stuff. Something where the scale would become a distraction, but as far as, like, how I choose colors and stuff, that doesn't change. But at some point, yes, I would love to play it. There's a bunch of guys locally, although I'm not really sure what's going on with my local store. Rumors it might be relocating or something, I don't know. We will see. I got bit by the Battletech bug myself. Only problem is that the stock issues currently makes GW look like the land of plenty. Oh man, that's hard to do. That's previously a gold medal held only by Privateer Press. I'm just doing some real sharp detail here. Just kind of tapping, flicking away at the edges of the lining and the edging and whatever of all the Khorne armor, the bronze trim that everybody has. They're busy fulfilling the latest Kickstarters, and all the other stock is low priority. Oh, I see. I really don't envy the Kickstarter model because of that exact reason. Is saying you have to be able to run this business and that one. It feels like its own thing, and that just sounds deeply overwhelming to me. Parts that I'm missing. Just the banner. We can get a much bigger brush for that, so we're not here all day. Yeah, I don't envy that from a logistics standpoint in any way, shape, or form. It was revitalized. BattleTech would probably still languish, forgotten. Years ago propelled them to what they are now. That's wonderful. Oh no, I mean, see, that's the thing, is like there's a reason the cycle starts, but the problem is stepping off of that train, of having enough of a product and enough success that you have built enough of a customer base and a collection of things that you don't have to do another Kickstarter unless you want to. But the problem then becomes you're choosing to do both at the same time, which is a resource decision, not an issue, just a decision. Because there are multiple businesses that I've talked about, like the Kickstarter cycle of like, you can get yourself successful, but then the next year taxes come around, and the best way to succeed at that is to what? Start another Kickstarter. I'm not accusing them of doing that, by the way, and nor is it in any way wrong or whatever. It's just a different type of business flow in terms of your income, your product, how you market to people. It's a very unique thing that is possible because of crowdfunding platforms. And as long as you deliver on them, that's not a criticism. I said that once and someone was like, what's wrong with that as a business model? I ran a Kickstarter. I'm like, bro, I'm not against Kickstarter. I'm against people who screw over their customers. Right? I mean, okay. So we helped elect man. My question regarding the battle tones. We'll get back to that. For those of you just joining or joined recently, we did a quick review of the new Skaven models that came out, and I asked everyone to have some thoughts on what they'd like to see in future battle tomes, because that article ended with a preview picture of the Skaven one. And my question is this. So they got rid of sub-factions as we know them gameplay-wise. Now we have battle formations that fill up that slot. There were some, not arguments, but just a discussion to be had over like, well, with those gone, how does GW, like, how much time are they going to spend on creating the lore for the various sub-factions? Because that's important for contextualizing what an army can look like in different ways. That's always what the advantage of doing that style of rules working was, is that you're, okay, so you're depicting a very specific kind of Skaven or Stormcast or whatever, based on mutual values, shared experience, whatever. How is that going to be changed? How am I going to get that same depth of feeling without them dedicating too much book space to it, or introducing it into the keywords, because you don't want to have sub-factions, right? Like we used to have keywords. And I don't know. Skaven is a fantastic book to play with that premise, though, because Skaven armies can look so vastly different from one another. I think it's very interesting to consider when this book drops, I'm going to be like, okay, obviously I can build a Scryer army. That's not in debate, right? No one's questioning that. My question is, how enabled to write a background for my army, whatever my collection is, what is that freedom like? What is that? How much are you giving me for like tidbits of lore that would be like cool narrative threads? One of the cool things in the old books was if you had a sub-faction, there would be like a little timeline story, at least one, relating to your sub-faction of choice. Which I like that, because it's then taking the story that I'm building and contextualizing it, giving me a history to work with. All that kind of stuff. I love those things. And so, what are some ways that you think, coming back to the fact that this is a conversation, what are some ways that you think GW could add some of that lore flair? Do you think it's just a matter of including stories? I personally would love to see examples of like, I'll pick on him just because he's one of the few names I know. Sam Pearson. Sam Pearson's one of the main minds behind Warcry. And had a lot of input on the new edition. He's been featured in just about all of the battle reports, you know, the tactics talks, all that kind of stuff. The man knows the game. Would there be a cool article of Sam Pearson like, this is my Skaven army, and it's a mismatch of units. Here's how I built it, and here's the lore behind that. Like, kind of, again, demonstrating this is how you build a collection and how you can bring that collection together to be a cohesive story, you know, for a faction or whatever. I think that could be cool. I don't know. What do you guys think? Thanks for the good crack in the... Oh, thank you so much. That's very kind of you, DW. Do you have any topics you want us to talk about specifically? I'd love to chat. Whenever someone throws a tip in the tip jar, you get to choose the direction of the conversation. I realized. I was like, I think I'm missing something that's supposed to be silver. The chainmail underneath his red armor. Here we go. I just noted because he has a steel tabard. His goat man has no need for pants. He's evolved beyond them. But thank you so much. Have you read Skaven Tide book? And I'm going to do a lore video about it again. Was there a novel that came out that I just missed? Highly possible. I have been traveling a lot lately, and I don't get any ahead of time information about Black Library stuff. Ironically, even that's the thing that I would probably use the most. I've tried. I think it's just an email gets lost or something like that internally. It's just like, hey, that's what occur. Yes. Oh, okay. I did not. But after this is done, I will go download it and listen to it immediately. I adored Dominion by Darius Hinks. Who's this one written by, if anyone can Google it? With free hands. I'm a wee bit occupado at the minute. I would love to know. There are hobbyists and entrepreneurs working at GW. The hobbyists will happily write lore. The entrepreneurs would probably rather just sell you a book with minimum required amount of rules. Hey, man. I mean, most 40k players will be like, thank you, we got enough rules, we're good. Really good, really. Just so good. Please stop. So, I mean, my point being, that appeals to certainly a collector aspect, rather if you're into that, rather than necessarily the gameplay. I just occurred to me, like, man, I am so far out of the loop. I had to ask dudes at my local store, like, what is 40k now? Like, what is the game like? they had good things to say about it. They said it's definitely gotten better with the new edition, and they're really just enjoying themselves. That's cool. I'm so glad for them. That's why I was like sitting and thinking about Chaos Space Marines, and I was like, honestly, I'll just use my Sons of Horus from 30k. If I ever want to, just to kind of have something in case they're doing a fun event or something at the store, I can go pop in. I always like having models ready for stuff like that. Cool, we're coming along. Gary Cluster. Oh, no, I don't think I know. I don't think I'm familiar with any of his books. Unless, I mean, I may have read if he did a 30k one, I may have read that. Do you think AOS gets the better sculptors because of internet company stuff like pay scale, or just because they get more creative freedom compared to the 40k? I mean, I think 40k is a very specific aesthetic. And I also, as far as like better sculpts, I think that's largely a matter of opinion. Like, because I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of Space Marine models they don't grab my attention in particular. Okay? But like, somewhere in this universe is a wife who loves when GW releases new Space Marine things, because that's the only time her husband feels joy, or something like that. I say that in jest. Like, what I mean is that there's just some folks who like, they just love the collecting. Anytime a new Space Marine thing comes out, they're here for it. Cool. So happy for you. Not my jam. And I love that that's there for them. But like, I'm not going to say that AOS sculpting is better, just because I do feel like there is design-wise probably a bit more freedom. Especially when it comes to run-of-the-mill things. Like, there's some strange baseline of humanity in 40k, of real-world-ish, where it's just like, you know, the Astra Militarum has understandable technology, kind of a thing. Whereas there is more freedom in a fantasy setting, because stuff can just be like magic. But I don't know. Because I guess what I'm really saying is I'm not willing to say that their sculpts are just better. AOS stuff. I adore specifically the 40k Mechanicum. I saw Lord of All Ducks with the plastic Mechanicum in there, which is, I think, an extension of that for sure. But like, yeah, there's some rad things going on. The last time I remember a 40k player saying, "How come AOS guys get such cool models and we don't?" was when Iron Jaws were released. Because that made, once you get the orc players to like, wait a minute, things we can convert 1-to-1, they just work? Oh my god. Did a few 40k books. Right on. I appreciate it. Oh, you know what? I think I read Chthonia's Reckoning. That might have been one that I knew about him. To think about that. I still think 30k is much more fun. I very much enjoy 30k. Someone in the comments, and I'm sure it's just because I swap armies a lot, but they were like, please don't get rid of your Sons of Horus. And I was like, no, I mean, it's a painting project. I enjoy them. I made the custom case and everything. And that's why I was like, I want to find more reasons to use these guys. We don't have a very big 30k scene here locally. But there are some wonderful players. Trevor's a guy who I play with sometimes regularly. And I really want to do some Adepticon stuff, but man, those Adepticon guys, they are a different animal. Okay, in a good way. This is all positive. I'm not shaming anybody. What I mean is, their events tend to like mingle with each other. It's like, this year we're doing a grand campaign to fight for Beta Garmin or something like that. One of the years was. And like everything from Titanicus to all the different sub games of anything that uses Heresy era miniatures is like part of this grand story. And it just seems so massive that I feel as an attendee of Adepticon that I have to either jump in and be like, this year is going to be a Heresy year. And I do all of the things for it. Or I'd rather just chill and bop around a bunch of other stuff, which is typically what I do. But I always have that nagging feeling of like, those guys are having the best time here. Whatever time you have at Adepticon, the guys at the 30K room are probably having a better time. There's nothing but pure laughter coming out of there. I'm sure after everyone's drinking way too much, it maybe gets a bit rougher, but the times I've been in there, I've been like, whoa, wow, these guys are having a blast. Let's see. I just read The Hollow King by John French. Very enjoyable, but didn't exactly push the greater narrative forward. Black Talon is proving a tough slog. Old World Luther. Huss was Stella. So DW, we did a discussion. Is it the first Mark Black Talon book, the first one that came out? Me and Kenzie did a book review style thing about that. My takeaway was the one thing we agreed unanimously on was this is the Forrest Gump of Warhammer books, and by what I mean by that is this chick just ran the entire time. The entire book of Blood Talon First Mark is this lady going, I need to be here. Good God, I need to go somewhere and warn them. Good God, I need to now go somewhere. And it's just her running. We were making the jokes constantly. It's just, she's everywhere. She's a part of all the stories, but really all she's doing is running, which is a fun bit. That being said, I do think her story was very interesting, especially because that was one of the first times that we really got to see a Stormcast who was affected by something other than Sigmar. So like, there were other things going on. I won't spoil any stories, but there's other factors at play and how she works with some of the other locals in the realm she's in. She kind of bounces around depending on where she's at in the story, but just that kind of stuff. And typing on your phone is hard. I get it. Dan C, just discover your channel. Thanks for updating me on the lore of AOS. Content is awesome. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you to say. I have slowed down a little bit over the summer. My wife is an indie author, and so we do a lot of signings during the summer. So we're traveling right now. This is kind of my interim. I got some models and had a brief day where it was nice enough to prime them. But yes, I am very excited once I'll be settled down and ready to go by the time I assume GW is ready to kick it into gear with the releases. Daniel, yo Doug, not caught a stream in years. Well, welcome, buddy. Happy to have you. That's why I love streams. It's always like visiting an old friend where you just kind of pick right up. Such as the transient nature of streaming. Hey, he's on. Hey, how you doing? Speaking on the books, I'm currently reading Dominion, and after that I'm going to go with Andrasta the Celestial Spear. I thoroughly enjoyed Dominion, and I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on the Celestial Spear. When that came out, I was in the middle of a bunch of stuff for our Horus Heresy book club, The Emperor Protects, here on the channel. And so I didn't really have a lot of time. It is on my to-be-read list, but... yeah, I would like to check that out. That one and... dang it. I think I have a Neferata book on there right now. I can't remember which one it is. Good luck with the painting, dipping out. Oh, hey, have a good day. Thank you so much for popping in and commenting and hanging out, man. Anybody has any thoughts, comments on the new edition, or stuff that they are painting and would like to talk about, please go ahead and drop it in the chat. I'll probably do the rest of the bone on these guys, and I think stuff's going to need a time to dry, unfortunately. Because the next step for me is generally going to be washes. Bust out some contrast to just get the straps done. But yeah. Bet if you can't remember the name of the book, it's got blood somewhere in the title. Yeah. Or she has a lot of the Dominion books, right? Dominion of Blood, Dominion of Bone. I can't remember the name of her books. That's why I was like, I don't even know what the heck this is, actually. Let's see. Listening to God Eater's Son at the moment. Interesting so far. Feels like an old world scale book in AOS. So much of the higher tier stuff off map, Stormcast myths, stuff like that. I am excited to listen to that one. There's a few books like that. Some of the Callous and Toll ones are a lot of fun for that reason. What else? I think it was their introductory one. What was the name of the book where it took place in the Knights Excelsior City? Ah, dang it. I can't think of it now. That's all right. But yes, they have a few good books out there. That are very specifically old world feely. And I understand what you mean by that, of like, it feels like a very grounded kind of fantasy. And there are several books like that. There is a... okay, wait, on Dancy. I was very surprised to discover that AOS Realm of Ruin is based on Dominion. least quite a chunk of the campaign is. Yep. Yep, certainly set, yeah, in that same window of time. Indirectly. Here we go. This guy had a little bit of gold that was missing. There we go. There's a weird thing in the Warhammer community article on the Skaven that Kragnos gets name dropped in Vizek Scour's lore bit. What do you think? Yes, I saw that. Let me pull that back up. I actually have the page pulled up here. Something about his primal awakening. Let's see. Unleashed a wave of primal energy that was felt even in Blight City. A protean demon of ruin emerged from the heart of the Master Burrow. Only prayers to the Great Horned Rat could quell its rage. I don't know. So Kragnos escaped from his mountain, which let a shockwave out, which then pissed off primal energy in Skaven Blight enough that people were like, hey, Great Horned Rat, deal with this BS, and thus was born Vizek. I believe that is my understanding, my synopsis. Is that how you read it as well? Kragnos' birth fart was heard so far away that a sentient demon was founded to deal with the stink. I'll recommend Bad Loon Rising. Oh yes, and that's a fantastic book. I did read that one. Since I'm new to the game, I don't know how to assemble a 2k point army, but my Stormcast Spearhead is a good start. Absolutely. And that's why I love Spearhead as a format. Of different kinds of browns into his clothing, taking care of some of the straps all over him. Actually didn't have very many at all. More or less just feels a bit randomly inserted. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's so many things. Everything with Kragnos was just like, okay, so what now? Oh, so he's the destruction god guy? What about Gorka Morga? Oh, okay. Oh, he's gone now? Okay, so what now? Everything just has that same energy to it. Let's see, Doug, building my Blades of Khorne right now. Do you think Valkia will get a new mini for AOS? I hope so. She was really cool. I'll be selfish and say my bigger hope is that Korgus Cole gets a special Demon Prince model. That's kind of half the reason I'm doing this right now with the Blades of Khorne. That's why we're here, if not for Korgus Cole. What is your lore story behind Khorne? I have not actually sat down to contemplate any right now. It has been mostly a painting project, although I will be doing that. Yeah, I don't have a kind of a grand narrative for them. Really what I wanted is to follow Cull's story. So, like, if we get a Corgus Cull model, he's going to be in it. He's going to be the centerpiece. He's going to be in every list. If we don't, that's fine too. I'll just have a Mighty Lord of Khorne or something like that. Same principle. But that's essentially what I'm looking to do, is just kind of create a army that is lore based on the things we've seen about Corgus Cull. So lots of mortals. He prefers myrtles. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I'm going for. We'll definitely get one, right. I mean, I would hope so. They gave him like a really cool ending scene. Where we got to see him like ascend and grow wings and all this cool stuff. So like, I would hope so. It would certainly seem like a lot of writing and work if they didn't want to do that. But yes, ultimately that is an assumption. I also just realized I like having a Chaos army around. It's just cool to always have a force that is like... I don't know. The era of Chaos or whatever. It's cool to have a force that kind of depicts some of that going on. Two more. All right. There is no way they did what they did in the story and bail on a new Kragnos model. Jordan, can you explain that a bit more? Oh, new Corgus model. I'm sorry. I saw Kragnos and I see what you're saying. Yes, no, I agree with you. For some reason, I read it as Kragnos and I was like, I mean, he's pretty new. Apologies. No, I completely agree with you. He made some noise, and you gotta honor the noise. Oop. Let's see. There's a short story where his followers had blood visions. Yeah, Vandus had visions as well of like a demon standing above him. I don't know. It was just a red brain, all this stuff. I still remember one of my favorite AOS scenes, like singular scenes from a book, right? And the way it was depicted was actually from one of the first Rumgate War books. The Stormcast come through, and it was the first time you ever saw what the Bloodsecrator did. So, like, there's just a normal fight scene. Everyone's clashing shields or whatever. And then this dude with a giant banner just bolts up. And when he slams it into the ground, like the scene described, like there was little pools of blood around because they're fighting Khorne army. And like the blood started to trickle up into the sky and like reversed gravity for that. And then through blood portals, demons started pouring through, and it's like it like ripped a hole in reality temporarily. I don't know, it was so cool, and I feel like they never really recaptured that scene, but I adored it so much. I feel like since that moment, Bloodsecrators have just been banners. Like, nah, dude, it's a portal to hell, bro. This is a cool thing. Don't make it a not cool thing. Sounds all rad. All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and hop off for the day. I think this stuff needs a chance to dry before I can throw some washes on there. And then we can start rebuilding up the skin color. And then just picking out some of the red. But then, honestly, they're mostly done. I don't do a ton of excess stuff beyond that. I'm just going to grab his claws and his little scorpion hand. And we'll call it good. Thank you so much for everyone who hung out and spent some time with me today. Hope you're all having a great time. I look forward to getting back to making regular content here probably next week or so. We have a book signing this weekend in Milwaukee. But we'll get back to it real soon and be hanging out with you again. So thank you all so much for spending time with me, and I will see you next time.